9 from the drop. Nice. All right, boys and girls, welcome back to the Automotive Podcast. Podcast where you don't have to build model cars, but it sure does help. We are here tonight, all the crew, along with our special guest, Stephen Demo of Crazy Scale Model. We are going to discuss, well, a lot of model shows tonight because all of us have been to shows recently, with Mr. Tester probably being the most recent. He just got back from one last night. Right. So we'll discuss all that. Of course, we're going to interview Stephen down there. We'll talk about his journey in the hobby and his recent return to serious hobbiness. I believe, Stephen, you talked about in one of your recent videos, you've been building since you were a teenager, right?
Yeah.
You just sort of came back seriously. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought. Thought I remembered that. And so, guys, what have we been up to? I just on the Saturday of this week, we did our Three Rivers IPMS show here in Pittsburgh, where I was again head muckety muck as far as the automotive judging went. I'd say it was a good show. We had about 400 models on the table, which is about 100 and a quarter more than usual. So that was
pretty good.
Wasn't post-COVID high that we hit right the 2021, but it was a pretty good show. I stirred the hornet's nest, as I am prone to do, because I gave best automotive to a bulldozer. And
you stirred the hornet's nest? I can't imagine that.
Now this guy who was an armor is I should have had his name up here, but I don't. Build a lot of armor stuff, and he had built a killdozer. Now, while I don't personally support the theory and the concept behind the killdozer, this guy had taken the 1/25th scale AMT Caterpillar, even though it's not marketed as a Caterpillar anymore, and scratch built the entire steel armor that it had, and it was probably some of the most realistic metal finished plastic that you've ever seen. Weathering was on point. It was the best automotive model there. Now, should it have been somewhere else? I guess you could probably argue that, but it wasn't, and so that's what ended up winning.
Was it trampling over like police cars?
No. Mercifully, it was just sitting there on the table. Wasn't even on a base. But
that'll be next year's diorama.
Yeah, But the guy won a bunch of gold. We do gold, silver, bronze, open judging formats. We talked about on the show before. So he won a bunch of golds in armor itself for a bunch of tanks and light infantry vehicles and all sorts of stuff. Very, very, very talented builder. So giving it to him was not like some sort of shot in the dark. It was the best automotive model, in my humble opinion, out of the 6 guys I had with me. I did find, and I'd say we'll ask as we go around here, and this is, again, not to slight or insult anybody, but I did see, at least at our show, the models on the table, there were 10, 15, we're talking about 125 car kits, right? So 10, 15 that were really, really nice, very, got golds, very nice. And then there was just a sea of mediocre as far as the eye could see. I push pretty hard when we're judging. I want to get it done because you're judging each piece individually. You're not judging it against each other. So there's not a lot of, what do you think about this versus this versus this? And it got to the point where I was like, do you guys want to take a break? Because I have looked at so many pebbly finished things at this point that it's all blending together to me at this point. It's like I can't look at another orange, model masquerading as a model kit. So it was very interesting from that aspect. It was a very high line top stuff, and then everything else was average to below. So people busy. They're back to work, I guess. can't be.
Sounds like my model collection, right? I've got a couple that are nice and a lot that are pretty mediocre.
Come on, Sean.
I'll let Mr. Chester argue that since he's actually been in your house. Sean, because you only did the one. What'd you think of Buckeye this year?
I thought it was pretty good. I would say it was pretty comparable to years past. I don't know if it was larger or smaller, but it seemed on par. I don't know, James, do you have a read on if you thought it was bigger or smaller? Or?
I thought it was about the same.
Yeah, seemed about the same.
Yeah.
Good. I think it had a good quality of models. Everything that won, and they give out like a People's Choice sort of awards, and I think they give out the top 10, right? Sort
Top
of
10, right?
top 10 favorites. I don't know exactly how they come up with that. I guess just top 10 most popular.
It's People's Choice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't vote?
I actually never vote on those things. Yeah, good show. A lot of really cool stuff. I'm trying to think of anything that I had not maybe seen before. I mean, a lot of stuff people preview online, and if you're active on Facebook and Instagram, you've probably seen these things somewhere. But it was neat to see them in person. It was neat to see James's recent builds in person. I enjoyed that.
Oh, thanks.
You got one. You got an award. You took
Yeah, I did
hit.
get one of the top 10. Yeah.
Which one won? I forget which one.
The Hatsune Miku BMW Z4.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Cool. What was your favorite model of the show, James?
It has hands down Lewis Hicks Miata tune car, because I've printed that model and I know the pieces of it.
Yeah.
And he knocked it out of the park. Good job, Lewis.
Yeah, that was really neat. I really thought I don't know who built it. Somebody built an Indy car, one of the new 1/20th scale kids. Super detailed it. Do you know, do you know who that was?
I don't know who did that.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe somebody in the audience does.
Yeah, that one was really cool. I mean, it was just sort of a feast for the eyes of all the details, and I always get excited by those things because I suck at that kind of detailing, so I appreciate when somebody else does it. But yeah, overall, good show.
Right. Mr. Chester, you were also in Columbus, and this past Sunday you were up in Detroit for I can't think what was it. It's
the Damn Show.
The Damn Show. There's an NNL and there's a judge show, and I can never keep those two straight.
I thought it was the NNL show. So when so I just placed my models all together in like a herd on the table, and put my business card down, and Joe Morgan comes over and he says, James, you're in the wrong category. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, well, we're not going to judge. I said, judge? I thought this was NNL. So he goes, yeah, you're in the custom class for all of your models. I was like, He goes, you should be over in curbside over on that table. And I look over and that table is a sea of model cars. All, you couldn't put my model cars anywhere on there. And I said, dude, I can't, move people's stuff. He goes, oh, I'll move it. I'm like, no, just leave my cars there. I never win here anyways. So he goes, are you sure? And yeah. So I ended up getting a second in curbside, which I was surprised because I've never won anything at that show.
Well done. What won?
The Liberty Walk Ferrari F40.
Oh, yeah.
Which theoretically has an engine. So is it really a curbside?
If that's how they judged it, I guess.
Yeah.
As I answered earlier, the thing is what it looks like parked at the curb, and you would be able to see the real engine through the rear hatch on the 1-to-1. So technically speaking, it's curbside. You couldn't open the hood or take lift the entire trunk of it like the actual Tamiya F40 does, where the whole hatch opens. You couldn't do that, but
James, I saw that you had posted videos from the Damn Show. I think it was today, right?
Actually, last night when I got home.
I watched them this morning.
Thanks.
I was impressed by the amount of vendors there. That you know how many vendor tables they have?
500.
Yeah.
I think that's what Todd told me. I think it was 500.
Wow, that was impressive. That kind of just look when you kind of panned across the building there. It reminded me of the old days of Toledo, the old Toledo toy shows.
Yeah. No, it wasn't all model cars. There was, die cast and, not necessarily Barbie dolls or anything, but they were Hot Wheels and stuff there too. But
yeah, still that's quite a lot of vendors. Yeah,
it was.
Did you end up buying anything cool?
I did. We talk about it later.
Okay.
We'll talk about Steven's show first.
as Mr. Demo was at Freeze Frame in Fort Worth, Indiana. Now I want to ask you, Steve, do they still do the goofy thing with people bringing pictures of their 1-to-1 cars in?
Yes, they do. And this was the first time I actually got to experience it, and I was kind of confused on what was going on. But I think they included those. They ended up, I think the official report was 680 entries total for the whole show. But that includes dioramas. They had a table of ships. They had a table of planes. Okay. Then they had one that had armor and figures for military themed.
Right.
And then really cool is they had tables they had for rookies, juniors, and women. So kids and teens are separated from the ones that have been building for 20 or 30 years. And they gave out awards for all the kids for entering models.
I think Buckeye had, I don't know if they did this year, but they had a women's category at one point.
Interesting.
At least in the past. The shows that I went to, I haven't been there since they moved it out to the new place, but back when it was at the fairgrounds, there used to be a women's category.
What was the thing you were mentioning about you had to bring a photograph?
Freeze Frame was started, I think, in a January show, and it originally started many, many years ago. And the shtick was it was too cold in Indiana to bring a real car to a real car show. So people would bring photographs of their 1-to-1 cars. And there was, I don't know how they judged that. I mean, Steve, you could talk about how they judged it this year, but it was like, hey, or maybe it was judged, maybe it's just a show thing. But like, yeah, we brought up pictures of your 1-to-1 car because it's too early in the year for show season. The show used to be earlier in the year than it is now.
Yeah, to me, it seemed like everybody that brought a picture got a plaque because it was just always, they were like plaque. I mean, it was just continuous. Where like every other category had like, they had 1, 2, 3 or bronze, silver, gold. But it seemed like the picture class had almost everybody got something. Which I didn't know they did that. I mean, I'm not going to waste time bringing a picture of any of my vehicles, but I'll just bring the plastic. And
how'd you do in the contest, Steven? Did you bring home any hardware?
Negative. I thought, and like I said, kind of in our pre-thing, is I went into it really confident. Like I wasn't expecting to win, but at the same point, a couple of my models that I built towards like my Ducati and then the Dart, I'm like, these are really good. I should get something. Put them on the table, and I'm still like, yeah, they look really good compared to everything else. And I didn't win, and luckily I recorded a lot of the tables, and I looked back and I went, okay, yeah, those were actually better than mine. Like I came to realization that they looked good, but they weren't
under scrutiny.
Under scrutiny, they weren't that good.
So
I came home. Yeah. I came home. I had a 40 Ford I was working on, and I got like the chassis painted. The engine was done. I looked at it, put it right back in the box. Said, "Nope, I'm gonna start a new one later. Start a new one because they'll do a different level." Because now I realize what I need to be at.
Yeah, I think I kind of remember long ago when I used to build for contests, kind of experiencing that same thing. You'd go and then realize, in order to win, this is what I've got to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. James has seen it, and maybe you have too. But John Weber, one of my modeling heroes, was at the Detroit show, and he brought 3 models. And every time I see his models, that's when I say, "All right, it's time to regroup and focus on making better models," because his stuff just amazing.
Yeah, there were some of them there. Like the best of show winner, he did like a lowrider with all the different paints and patterns and that. And I'm looking at him like, how did you do this? Like I'm like, it would take me all year and it still wouldn't look as good as what he did.
Practice.
A lot of practice.
Yeah. Well, that's why they win contests, I guess.
Yep.
There was at the Detroit show, they were announcing all the winners, and one guy, Vern Heiser, who typically wins a lot of contests for his models because he's a damn good modeler.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the announcements, he actually said something like, yes, Vern Heiser did win a lot of awards. If you want to win awards in those categories, build a better model than Vern Heiser.
Yeah.
That's the bar.
It is. Yeah. You want to beat him, you got to beat him.
You have to humble yourself to realize that you can build good, but some of these people are way better than you. And you just got to be willing to admit, like, hey, if I want to win, I got to step my game up. Or just understand I'm just taking them for people to look at. I'm not going to bring home any hardware.
I think the thing too is the bar has been increased steadily over the years and decades, and now the bar is really high. Like, you know,
It really is.
there are people that have been doing this 30, 40, 50 years, and they are incredibly, you know, good and experienced, and, you know, and can spend the money sometimes, you know, to yeah, it can be very tough to win.
Well, and even now, compared to, I would say, even 10 years ago, the kit motors aren't very detailed.
Right.
And now you can just get online and spend $20 and get a realistically detailed motor shipped to you. And all you got to do is paint it, glue it together. And so it's not just detail. You got to be on point. Everything like gravity of plug wires, gravity of hoses, anything like that. You need to have it look as realistic as possible.
Yeah. It's interesting too. There was, you know, when I was kind of growing up, and there was certain people that influenced me as builders, and I've since seen some of those models in person that won Best of Show like 20 years ago.
Yeah,
they wouldn't even place at this point anymore. You know, they're because just the technology's changed. I think the knowledge, there's a lot, the knowledge that's more accessible. And the access to equipment and techniques. The bar is just, it's way beyond me.
Not even anything I can really, since I'm still kind of new into the really hardcore modeling, but like just guys getting together like this online so people can learn what you guys do. Before you had to wait for a magazine to come,
right,
and hope there's some pictures and somebody that could explain it in a way that you understand.
Right. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to see the videos and stuff. I mean, I've learned a lot by just watching Mr. Tester's videos, so like decaling and airbrushing. No, it's true.
Thank you.
I don't think I'm any better, but at least I've learned some techniques. I learned things.
I will say that's like the great benefit of YouTube, is the ability to see, for the people who actually do it, because some people would just do the same thing the magazines would do, but for the ability to see what people are actually doing. Like, I'm a visual learner in that way. The magazines were effectively useless to me because it's a whole bunch of words and like 5 pictures. And I understand it's space, right? You can't have 900 pictures in an article. But it's like, you know, I sawed the front end off, and then I welded this new frame to it, and then I sprinkled pixie dust to it, 1 picture of the box, kit contents in a box, and then it came out over here and model fantastic. It's like, okay, but all those words in between, like, they don't mean anything to me as an individual, you know, but it's back in the 90s, right? So as a younger guy in my basement, like, none of this means anything to me. YouTube, I can see where you're cutting, what you're using, you know, hopefully what you're bonding it all back together with, and things like that. There are other people that still do the magic pixie dust where, you know, they spend 10 minutes on a video that took them 3 hours worth of work, and there's no in between to it. But for the most part, YouTube and people who stream and all that stuff, it's a great resource, especially to people who are either new or coming back.
Yeah, where do we get?
Tim, I'm pretty sure I bought my last bottle from you.
Amazon. Everything is on Amazon.
Yeah, based on the things I've seen Mr. Tim build there, I'm pretty sure he has the pixies working personally in this basement. Which will now become a running gag in the comments for us. Good evening, good night. Well, Steve, I think it's very important, like, as a person who's going to their first competitive show, and Hanscom, Jason talked about this a little bit with his community question, with the mindset of you know, building a model that's good enough for a contest. Is if you go to something like that, is like, do you take that, I don't know how much feedback there was personally, but the feedback of just it wasn't as good as some of the other stuff there, is like, that's almost two things you see happen, right? It's, I'm taking my ball and going home. I'm never going to another show ever again in the rest of my life. These people are poopy meanie heads. I'm never going to see it. Or, okay, I see the things I need to improve on, and come hell or high water, next time I'm gonna, do that thing. So,
Well, and to be honest, like when we're sitting there and they're going through there was a lot of categories and they're going through, and the ones I'm in, I don't hear my name. And I get to the end, I'm kind of like, in my head, I'm like, why did I waste all this time? But then I sat in my truck and I'm like, looking at the pictures, I'm like, but I can make that. I can do what they did. And it's like, all right, let's go home, go through kits, regroup, and I haven't lost the joy. I still love it.
well, I think the other thing is like, hopefully from the social aspect, you were going to meet people that were you knew on YouTube and stuff like that. So hopefully you met people and hung out and like just the social.
It was a great time.
Just getting out and doing stuff. That's why I told my wife coming back from this show. It was like it was so nice to just get out of the house and see people again. It's been since the fall, for most of us, because spring show season is upon us, that we've seen a lot of the friends that we only see at shows and things like that.
Yep.
Right.
And I only bought one kid, so I matured in that aspect.
Vendors went home with all their kits. On that note, what have we bought recently? Steven, what'd you buy?
I bought a 54 Chevy panel truck that I plan on slamming all the way to the ground, putting on like 22s, LS powered. I want to make it like a hot rod shop delivery truck where I make the back hatch open. I ordered from Texas 3D, ordered some of his 3D printed skids. I'm going to build like a 632 or build some kind of obnoxious race motor and strap it to that pallet and have it sitting in the back to be unloaded.
Is that the old Revell kit?
I believe it is.
Yeah, so I don't think AMT did anything like that.
Yeah, it is the Revell kit because it is. Without pulling my computer down.
Yeah, there you go.
That kit there. Other than that, and then I bought that 67 GTO, the dreaded MPC kit. So I can redo one of my first builds and see if I improved it any.
You're a brave man, Steven. You're a brave man.
That kit's rough. It is rough.
The body and proportion wise, I mean, it does sort of look like a 67 GTO, and it's about the only. If you really wanted a 67 GTO, it's really your only option.
I'm pretty sure, though, any road car, even wrecked, the front grille fits better than it does in the kit.
that kit's been around the block a couple of times, especially the innards of that being they went all the way out to 72 and then came back again.
Yeah.
Mr. Svensson, did you buy anything in Columbus?
I did. What did I buy? No, I bought an AMT 21 charger kit, the RT I hadn't bought before. I got an idea to do something with that.
We know your ideas.
Yeah.
Trophy truck.
And then let's see what else. I did buy some others. I got something else, but I cannot remember now what it was I got. Oh, I know what it was. Somebody had. I got a really sweet deal on the old scale. Let me see what's the actual. Hang on. I got. We had a Scale Coachworks 70 Dart Swinger resin body.
That's fun. I wish that they would make a print of that. I would like to print that.
So somebody did the conversion work, I didn't know. I couldn't tell. I actually think this was probably, I'm going to guess, was mastered from the old LA Dart funny car kit.
Yeah, I think they took the LA Dart and cut the front end off, put the 68 Revell front end on it.
So, I've been wanting to build a stock one of these for a long time, and I got an LA Dart and was going to do the conversion work, and then I ran across the resin kit, and I was like, oh, that's a good deal, and most of the work's done for me. So it did have a little bit, I don't know, you probably can't see it. It's got a little bit of warping in it, especially like in the trunk. You can see this is supposed to be a straight line across the back, and it's got a bow to it. But I'm gotten pretty good at correcting resin pieces, so it didn't intimidate me. So I was kind of excited to grab that. Just kind of got a good deal on it. So, how about you,
cool.
Mr. Tester? Anything cool?
At the Columbus show, I ended up buying a display case. This guy was selling handmade display cases, and I need another one.
You bought one of those?
Yeah, I did. I bought the big one for $40. I was like, because these are like $100. The ones behind me.
Oh wow, there's that much now.
Yeah, they're over 100. And this guy was selling this case for $40. I said, I'm on it.
What you remember his name or the name of his company?
At the show?
Yeah.
Actually, just have a little piece of paper here. It's a folded piece of paper.
I remember seeing the display cases, and I thought they were kind of unusual. You know, I mean,
Andy Glover, and there's his phone number if you want to.
There you go. I don't know if he has a website enough.
He doesn't. He doesn't.
They're an unusual shape. They're sort of like a weird sort of.
Yeah, it is. It is an odd shape, but it opens from the back, so everything. But it's more 4 shelves, and I think I can probably get 20 cars in it.
Yeah, it's more of a thing you'd sit like on a tabletop as opposed to like mount to your wall.
Correct.
But I did remember thinking, wow, those are really nicely finished. Like they flamed the edges and everything and polished. You did a nice job.
Yeah. And at Detroit, I actually bought kits.
What?
I know. So I'm a sucker for enthusiast kits. These are the Fujimi 300 piece enthusiast kits.
Nice.
So I got a Porsche Targa and Porsche Carrera 356. So these are wonderful kits. And I saw this for $30, and so I had to pick up a BMW i8.
That's one of the few electric car kits they actually make, haven't they?
Right. And my guy over there has the Pearl jars, and so I buy these little bottles of Pearl, 3 for $10, and spray a base coat of black, throw some of this in the clear, and it just makes it a Pearl.
Oh wow,
a Pearl paint job. That's what when I did the Koenigsegg. That's exactly what that is it's just a black base, and I threw some blue pearl and purple pearl, stirred it up in 2K and shot it, and it came out like glass.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's my thing. I think I have all of his colors now. I think I have 10 bottles of this, different colors.
Those are cool. If you get like House of Color Kennedy toners, you can pretty much make any color paint. If you have those plus pearls and like, a silver or a pearl white base, you can mix in it. Because that's how I used to, when I worked at the model firm and had a prototype lab, I usually mixed my own paints from scratch, and I would just use those bases and toners, and you could mix any color. Yeah,
it's like a whole new world because I love paint colors. Just mix your own. Just mix enough to make sure that you have enough extra.
Mr. Duff, how about you?
Well, I was just
before the show
came on. I was inventorying this. So this is off models in newer-ish kits. I think this came out a couple months ago at this point. So it's a Mugen, however you pronounce that, version of the what is this? About 2005 Honda Civic Type R. So everything's there and it's all in one piece. So yay! Beyond that, I have stuff like in the mail, and I have stuff sitting at Hobby Link Japan, but it's all just in limbo. Very annoyingly, because I was telling Mr. Tester earlier, I got something sent from Lee over PZY, and it's been sitting in a Chinese warehouse for the last week and not moving. So it just,
and then all of a sudden It'll be there on your.
and,
It'll be on your thing.
and the great thing is the tracking says, and I quote, "We have accepted your parcel into our warehouse for storage." Well, don't store the effing thing. Ship it to me. I didn't ask you to store it. Yeah, I may need a storage locker, but not in China. I don't. It's my collection is not so robust that I run out of space in the continental United States to store it as of the moment. So then I have, like I said, a couple of 3 things from sitting over at Hobby in Japan. That new tool Hasegawa Civic is out, and then a couple of the race car reissues that came out this month as well. So we shall see. I'm waiting on one more thing. The kit is out. Technically, Hobby Search got it this morning, but I haven't got billed from Hobby Link Japan yet. So once that gets here, I'll ship my pants. Great Kmart commercial. If you've never seen that in the chat, if you've never seen that, just Google "ship my pants" Kmart.
Ship my drawers.
Yes, it was back in the early '90s. There's a couple different versions, a Christmas version and there's a regular version, and it was all about ordering things online at Kmart back when they first started their e-commerce thing. Is I ship my pants, I ship my drawers, I ship my britches.
Back when you could be funny on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not sure that would fly today. Mr. Svensson, what are you digging through a box over there?
So I didn't buy it, but I did get something cool shipped to me in the mail today. I opened up the box. So I have the first test shot of the brand new Mobius 64 Comet. So this is an all brand new kit.
James, make him spotlight. Let's see this thing.
Yes, sir. Let me see if I can figure out how to do this. There we go.
So I don't even know if this has been announced yet on the. This might be an exclusive. I know there's no photos online because I'm holding. This is it. It's probably the first person to see one outside of the factory. So there's a brand new, all new 64 Comet coming, and that is going to be it. So there's going to be 2 versions of that. One is the stock K code, the small block car, and it has the twin hood scoop hood, and it's a full detail kit. So unlike the old AMT, which was a curbside stock Cliente, is it? How I don't know how you pronounce that.
Caliente.
Oh yeah.
Okay. This is Cyclone, and it's a K code, so it has the dual 4-barrel small block with a hood scoop, and then there's and it shares the chassis and some interior parts from the 65 Mercury Cyclone. So there's some interchangeability between those 2 kits. So if the gas or the AFX parts, I would imagine you can use probably a lot of those on this kit as well. You want to build something from that. And there's an all brand new Pro Touring chassis.
Ooh.
Which I imagine, I haven't tested it yet, I'll try it, but I'm imagine it'll probably fit with the 65 Mercury as well.
Okay.
So yeah, it's got big 22s on the back and 20-inch wheels on the front, and like a 4-link modern suspension, and big brakes and custom interior. So it's a first Pro Touring car for Mobius. So yeah.
Well, I need 2 of them.
That would be the first real Pro Touring car kit, period. I've seen a lot of California Wheels things where they throw some random parts into a Revell kit, but that's not really dedicated Pro Touring.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. Yeah.
Lewis in the comments is trying to start a war.
Yeah, this comment here with Pro Touring going to come with an LS like it should. Yeah.
You'll have to supply your own LS.
Yeah. So
is that it? Just the 1 kit?
I have something else that I got. Somebody else shared with something cool with me, which I'm gonna try to build it and have it done for NNL East. So I'm not gonna post anything online about it. I'm not gonna talk about it. If I get it done, you'll see it, If not, then I guess you won't.
There you go.
But it's a kit that I was really excited. It's something that when I heard they were going to do it, I was like, oh, I got to get one. I want to be the first one to build one, the first person to build one. And so I got my hot little hands on one of the very first ones. So I'm excited. So
we've seen this, right? This has been in our group chat.
Yeah.
You guys have shared it.
Yeah.
You guys have seen it, but
Okay. Well, I'll say I did what says from today. I'm counting arrival on Friday because I know the show's Saturday, but everybody else is traveling from far away, so it's 31 days until NNL East. So
yeah, I'm underway on it. I've got parts, sub assemblies are glued together, and I'm gonna be painting some stuff this weekend. So it's just an out of the box build. So fingers crossed, I can hopefully get it done.
that should be all right.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't have any instructions. I was like I'm looking at like photos of real cars, like trying to figure out how does this engine go together.
Well, the kit family the kit builds up nicely, so you shouldn't have. Once you figure out where everything goes, everything should fit together.
Right. There's enough differences. I was like, what is this thing? What is this part? Where does that go? It's not in the other kit, so I don't know, we'll see.
Thanks for the reminder, James. 31 more days to finish this.
Well, it wasn't my fault.
BMW.
You started your countdown with 2 more days than you had to begin with. That was you were 48 hours in arrears when you started, but everybody's been bickering with me about trying to get something done for NNL East, and I think we'll cover what I'm going to attempt as we talk to Steven here, because there's a build starting in a couple of days here that will be my subject fodder. Whether or not I'll get it done is anybody's guess, but I'm going to give it the old college try. For anybody who in the chat who knows me personally has been bickering me to build something, this is the last week of my daughter's middle school, high school drama club, where I was having to pick her up after school every day, which is, to me, working at night is like 2 o'clock in the morning to me. So it's been a rough month between people passing away and 3 weeks of that like I'm looking at April as like, oh, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Let's hope it's not a train coming the other direction.
No, when you have a daughter in high school, there's no end to the drama.
Yeah, this one's like they're doing once upon a mattress, which is there was a Broadway show, obviously, but also Carol Burnett did a movie version of it. It's The Princess and the Pea as a comedy musical. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. I've been hearing little snippets of it for, like I said, the last 3 weeks at 2 o'clock in the morning while I'm half asleep driving home. But I'm looking to actually see the production on Saturday. But Mr. Demo, we know each other loosely because we are both members of the Patreon support group for Paul Bretlin, the guy that ran International Scale Modeler, currently is rebranded to Pro Scale because of the paint line that he runs. That at least 3 of us have been using. I've used it. You use it. Mr. Tester has a couple bottles and is currently piggybacking my next order for a couple bottles more. So that's where I know you from. I've seen your posts and various things like that.
Yep.
And then you did a video, which we'll get into here in a second, that led me to your actual YouTube channel, because everybody's there's 60 somewhat people in that group chat, and we just sort of hang out. You really don't realize who people are until you put 2 and 2 together. And it's like, oh, this guy's got a YouTube channel, and I like his YouTube channel, so we drug you on here for this. So basic, Cliff Notes version of your history. When did you get into building? Who got you into building? And how you got back into it as an adult?
Myself got me into building because I'm addicted to cars. Have been since my teen years, and obviously being a teen, I was broke. Tried to build cars or tried to build the models. Failed every time because I think everything has to be perfect every time. So I'd build for a couple months, then quit for a while, start up, quit. Did that, and then in my 20s, women and life. And then tinkered a little bit in my late 20s. Then 2 years ago, I'm like, I like cars. I have time. Let's kind of get serious about it. Started building, found YouTube, well, I didn't find YouTube, but found that there's actually a huge community for modeling on YouTube. And I'm looking at what everybody's doing. I'm like, well, let's step the game up. And then now I'm 2 years in, and I'm down here every night, and when I have free time, and as James know, I do give or take one kit a month, if not more. It's been fun, and now I feel like I'm vested. I got a lot of money in the hobby, and I'm getting better, and I enjoy it. And I'm like, oh, let's see where this can go. How realistic can I make these models?
We've tripped across that financial barrier. I've spent too much of this. I can't quit it now.
Yeah, I've spent way too much.
I don't know what I would do with my time if I wasn't building model cars. Seriously, I don't know what I would do.
I look back and I'm like, you should just sit on the couch and watch TV and play on my phone. And now I come down and do this and research this. And I feel like it's, not to sound cliche, but I feel like it's kind of making my brain work.
Yeah.
Because now I see a kit and I'm like, what can I do? And then I'm like, will these wheels fit, or will this motor fit? Or like, what would this paint color look like on it? And it's just like problem solving in your head all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially when you're at work and you don't want to think about work. It's like, what can I do to that kit now?
See, I've told people over the year, I've built all of these models like 15 times at work.
Yeah.
It's getting them done in real life is the problem.
Every kit I have bought, I bought envisioning something in my head.
Yeah.
Half of them I don't remember what that is, but.
Yeah, I never bought a kit that I didn't intend to build.
Yeah.
I just haven't gotten around to it.
Right.
What is that, the old saying, path to hell's pay with good intentions?
Steven, what do you like to build the most? What genres are you like to build in?
I used to be into like the heavy customizing, but I'm starting to get in more into like the thanks to Paul's group, starting to get more into like the Ferraris and Lamborghinis and the exotic stuff. Because now I know that my painting ability is getting to a point that I don't have to rely on the modifications to make it look good. I can actually just paint the model and have it look good. Because when I first started building, like even that Duramax GTO, like the first build on the channel, I was like, I need to slam it. I need to use aftermarket chassis. I need to use aftermarket motor. I need to try to attempt a crazy paint job to make it appealing. And when I did all that, my skill set was nowhere near I was not capable to do those modifications successfully.
Right.
And now that I've gone through and I've built more of maybe lightly modified like box stocks and learned how things fit, how things go together, how to successfully build things. Now I can jump into the aftermarket accessories, the chassis and the wheels and the engines and interior accessories, and actually make them look right.
Do you find yourself focusing more on realism?
Yeah. To a point. Like there's certain things like I'm building the 32 Ford. I'm putting a 7.3 Power Stroke diesel in it. There's no way in the real world they're going to fit that motor in there and not have the chassis just collapse. But I'm trying to make it quote unquote as real as I can to make it look correct. But anybody that with mechanical knowledge look at that and go, yeah, that ain't happening. But it's cool.
Right.
It's going to push a lot around corners.
Well, they have brakes, that's for sure. You ain't stopping it.
What's your YouTube channel, by the way?
Crazy Scale Models.
Crazy Scale Models. How long have you been on YouTube?
Just over a year.
Okay.
January was 1 year. Because I'm back, I was like, what was my first video? And I look back and I go, oh, is that dreaded GTO?
Then I bought another one up.
I bought another GTO to do the same thing, but hopefully better.
And what's your experience been like as a YouTuber with a model channel?
Well, I actually have automotive repair channel that I did for a few years, D Money Garage, which I have not put a video up there in like 2.5 years, but that one has like 7,000 subscribers. And the camera part wasn't as bad. I didn't do any videos for a while, so I kind of had the camera shy scenario when I started this channel. But now it's more of just, what can I present that's just not boring? Like I was doing the what did you buy Wednesday, but like this last Wednesday I had, at the point of when I would record, I had one kit. I'm like, I am not getting the camera out and recording and editing and making a thumbnail for one kit. So I was like, I'm just going to start putting them into the Sunday update. And then I'll figure other videos out to do during the week, because I want to do more paint and other testing videos and see what happens. And just maybe it's a little short how-tos and maybe a little mini build series or something like that. But
what I've found is the things that work the best on YouTube is when you're making the video for your viewer. You take yourself completely out of it. Take your ego, take everything, this isn't for me, it's for them. And then those are the best videos out there, because when I see somebody do I got a box in the mail, who cares? Who cares if you got a box in the mail today? Who cares what's in your box? There's nothing in it for me.
Yeah.
It's your box.
Exactly.
So that's just how I feel. I know there's certain channels that much bigger than mine that do well with what's in the box, but I don't care.
Well, and at the same point, like if you try to stick to I'm going to upload 4 videos a week, it almost gets overwhelming and stressful. And it kind of takes the fun out of turning the camera on and wanting to show people what you're doing to your models, because now it's more of a job than it is a hobby.
Right. That's for sure. Yeah, I try to do one a week, and that's plenty.
Yeah.
How much time do you think you spend like editing a video and uploading it and all that stuff?
Lately, when it's just update videos, I'm trying to do I call them one-shot wonders. I start the camera and I just do the whole thing without stopping. And if I mess up, it's in the video. Like actually, I think it was a one-shot wonder on my Dart unveil, and actually broke the exhaust off by holding it. After the fact, I glued it back on and set it aside, and I looked down and said, I'm not touching you for a while. So, but just do it. And I feel like if you're real on camera, then that means more than trying to be a perfectly well edited, well cut, well presented channel.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I'm not perfect.
And you have to really appreciate for your viewers who are glancing at it as they're doing something else. Steve holds this thing up like the Lion King, and then I glance down at something else because it's in a weird angle that you can't really see it, and I hear clankety of something falling on the desk. And, oh God, he dropped the whole thing. And I hear, oh shoot, there goes the exhaust. I'm like, oh, just the exhaust.
Yeah.
The USAC build did not just get a baptism by fire in real time there.
No, but the second USAC, because that was actually my third attempt at the USAC. The first one, I tried to make a like roadster, like cut the roof off, like make it where there's no roof, no like convertible top, like smooth it all out. Could not get it smooth. So I bought another kit, and I was like, I'm going to go straight dragster, got a 3D printed back half, had together, drop the chassis on the floor, which is concrete. And you guys know resin and concrete.
Oh yeah.
It just everything. It just like it was like nuclear bomb going off. There's resin everywhere. And that was the beginning of the year. And I'm like, I got like 2 months. And I was like, I had some box stock in one.
Wow.
Now, was that the first time you actually did the USAC?
Yes. And honestly, I saw when they did the was it the 54 Ford last year's?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Ford. And I saw that and I'm like, I wish I could have done that. And that's kind of what led to me doing the YouTube channel, was to be, I guess, eligible to do that build.
Hmm.
And then it's turned into what it is now.
And by the way, guys, if you like Steven, he's like 50 subs away from 1,000. So if we could get him his monetization.
Well, let me see where am I actually at? I don't even know. I haven't
Let's
checked.
say, I know I'm linked. I linked
979.
Let's say my channel. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Come on, guys, 12 more. Now the reason so you mentioned a build a month, and it was something I want to talk about just from a motivation exercises, because we are part of Paul's group. Paul will sometimes at random decide that he's going to do a group build of something, and those tend to be like a month-to-month build. And the one thing I've noticed Steven does is he participates in the majority of them, and then actually almost finishes them on time. So, like, I've so many times popped into one of those, and then like the super build. This chassis got painted. You guys have seen this chassis sit here for 3 months now, and like that's it. I painted this chassis, and that was the end of the super build. So, like, where do you? Is it just I don't know if being new and enjoying it to the point of wanting to be there, but like, what's the motivation behind actually, like, because you have a pile behind you, we all have piles behind us here. You could pick anything else, but what's sort of, is it the group participation part of it, or like what's the drive behind actually participating?
I think well, April's is going to be any Porsche,
Right?
and I've only built a couple of Porsches, as you should probably. Ooh, is that the one you built?
Yep.
Yay!
You saw.
That's what I'm doing.
There you go.
There you go.
But I just feel like, I know it's kind of open like any Porsche, but it's kind of I'm kind of going to force your hand a little bit to build in a certain area. And it makes me sometimes kind of step out of my comfort zone. Like, I don't know if you're a part of the Cobra one, the Cobra build.
I have one, but I did not actually.
I'd never built a Cobra model, and I kind of was like, well, I was like, screw it, we'll try and end up being a super fun build. But for me, as long as I'm not doing a lot of heavy modifying, like a box stock a month, even with what we talked about the show stuff and my quality needing to improve and like details need to be better, I still could do a box build in a month. Unless if something like crazy with the family happens. I mean, summer's coming up, so that's going to impede a little bit on bench time.
Right.
But usually at night, like, what time is it now? Almost 9 o'clock. Both the kids are in bed. I could come down here for an hour and just do stuff. And I try to plan it out. Like, if I was on here, I might be 2K clearance. So I'd spray my clear, pack everything up, and then go to bed. I try to make it to where I can get to a certain
benchmark or something, right?
Certain something accomplished. So, and then on the weekends, like lunchtime or evenings, I can get 2 or 3 hours a day to play around. And
yeah, that's an interesting question, guys. How do you usually like sit down and like build? Like for me, I'll usually take a Saturday or something, and I'll build from maybe 9 o'clock in the morning until dinner time. And then that'll be like the only modeling that I've done all week. Like I won't touch it because I won't come down for an hour or two. I'll wait until like have a day, and I'll bang a lot of stuff out. Is that how do you guys normally do it?
I come here after dinner, after dishes, and just from like 7 till 10, just about every night.
Oh wow!
So I try to say, all right, tonight I'm going to get these in base coat, or this decal's done, or prep for tomorrow. Get something ready for tomorrow, so that I'm not sitting here like, what am I going to do? I already planned ahead for tomorrow and the next day what I want to get done.
So when I'm actually building, the rare occasions of that the curve, somebody go grab me some of that pixie dust. My garage is one that it is at level to the street outside. So I come in through the basement when I come home from work, and it is a matter of stopping here before I go upstairs. If I can stop down here and work, then I get stuff accomplished. If I pass this desk by and go up the steps, the chances of me coming back down those steps again, it's slim to none. I'm eating, I'm going to bed because it's gotta work again tomorrow, kind of thing. So
Yeah, I think for me, it's probably I'm a morning person by nature, and like my energy level is really high in the morning, and then just goes straight down during the course of the day. So by dinner time, I'm worn out. I'm done for the day. So to get like I have zero motivation to come downstairs and then pick up something and start working on it. I'm like, nah, I can't get motivated. But if I can start in the morning, right, I think I'll be good through the rest.
Yeah.
And get a solid day. But it's always a struggle to find like a day on the weekend where nothing else is going on.
I got you.
That's why I don't build that way. But it's interesting.
I'm saying, and out of the comfort zone thing for the group was I didn't because I don't even have any bikes to begin with, but there was a motorcycle build 2 months ago. That's out of your wheelhouse there, Stephen, right? Like,
yeah, I built that. That one's actually, hold on, let me.
Do we have any pictures of these models so we could see or share?
Built that Ducati.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
It was $11.99, tricolor.
Is that the Tamiya kit?
Yes.
Tamiya, however you pronounce it.
Panigale or something like that. Tricolor. I'm not good with the Italian words, so except for Ducati.
I built one bike from them, and I really did have a good time building it. It's funny when you open up the box and you look at the parts and you're like, where the hell is this? Where does this go? So you really have to follow the instructions to know how to put it together versus a car where you just look at the piece and you're like, I know exactly how this goes together.
Well, and the crazy thing with the bikes is they're so much more intricate from a car. Like you look at a car kit and you're like, oh, that's a lot of pieces. You look at a bike and go, well, that's not that bad. And you spend twice as much time on the bike than you do on the car. And end up with half the model.
I've seen a lot of filler.
And I also learned to pre-drill all the holes that you need to put screws in.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow. So there's a picture of
that is nice.
Really sharp.
Ducati.
Yeah, I didn't put the rear, which I've had motorcycles before, and I always took the rear plate holder off anyway. So this one, I was like, it had that obnoxious like square piece for the plate, and I'm like, nah, we don't need that.
Was that
not knocking your model, Stephen, but
yeah.
On mine, my mirrors just look like big, antlers hanging off of it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but
both of them.
They look weird.
And these actually fit better than my other Ducati that I built. And they actually fit where they're supposed to. I looked at it and I go, well, it is what it is.
Right. I would ride it without it.
Yeah, mine and I did. But anyways. I'm in Indiana. They're not as stickler for the legality of the bikes.
The law, if we don't.
Yeah.
Was
the law to get caught?
Was that Ducati mostly built out of the box, or did you add any extra detailing to it?
That one's out of the box. I tried to stick to, because I thought being that it's a tricolor, the way it was like a certain type of Ducati, I was like, I need to kind of stick with what it's supposed to be.
Trying to go through his
Yeah.
Facebook page to see if there's any of these models you want to talk about in particular? Anything you're like super proud of?
The Dart.
I'm asking the guy who just put a video about how critical his models. And asking
the USAC Dart.
Yeah,
that was, I would say, my best one so far.
And
then I came up from the show and I nitpicked it apart and went, yeah, I could have done this better, done that better. And but like I said, like I could sit there with the engine alone and spend 6 months making the engine perfect. But then at what point does it not become fun to assemble or like to put them all together?
That's true.
So I built to where I feel it's okay and it looks good. Well, now I know, okay, I need to go a little bit farther and make it a little nicer. Because I could.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Go ahead.
I was going to ask you while James is looking for the
Yeah.
photo of it. Tell us the story. What was the inspiration for building it, and what was the purpose behind it?
Well, it was my third attempt, so I wanted to. I just wanted to kind of do something a little box stock in a way. So I took the stock interior that has the rear seats. I modified the roll bar for the drag car to make it fit in there, kind of like if you built a car back in the 60s or 70s, you would just make the roll bar fit in there. You'd cut the seats and put it in, put the drag wheels on it, but left it fairly stock, but put the 426 Hemi in it. And then the black stripe actually came from an error because it was all supposed to be that orange, which is actually one of Paul Proscale's. It was a 70 to 72 Hemi orange. And that was the closest thing I could find to a 68 orange, because I was trying to make it to where it's period correct. But I was using, I don't want to knock on anybody's airbrushes, but I have galleries and I have Iwatas. I was using a gallery and it actually spit right on the center of the roof.
Oh,
A drop of paint, and it's lacquer. So by the time I could get off there, it ate through to the plastic. I'm like, how am I going to fix it? I literally used all the orange paint. I can't wait the 2 to 4 weeks to get more paint when the thing's due in 2 weeks. So I ended up sanding it all the way down, taping it off, and spraying the black stripe.
yeah, I think it works.
It worked out pretty good.
Yeah, I'm getting one of those gallery airbrushes in the mail pretty soon to test. So
they're not bad, but depending on which one you get, like the tip of it, if it kind of comes down, like narrows down, it has a tendency to build paint up inside as you're spraying. So then it'll start spitting. Okay. So I try to make sure the ones I use for painting a body, like if you're just like detailing a mirror or something, that'd be fine. But if you're trying to put on a lot of paint, I just make sure I use one that has like the more of a cone out.
Okay. All right.
So it sounds like you use your airbrush most frequently to paint?
Pretty much for everything anymore.
You're an airbrush guy.
I'm an airbrush guy. I have, sitting on top right now, I have 5 airbrushes sitting there, and I have like 3 or 4 more in the drawer. I have one that's strictly just for 2K. Then I have a 0.2 that I use for small stuff. I have a 0.5 that I use for like painting bodies. Then I have a 0.3 that I use for like wheels or chassis or smaller stuff.
Okay.
Then I got other ones, so if I have issues and
look, it's both exhaust attached, not one fall long.
Oh, they're still attached now. I fixed that.
Almost.
It's a good looking build.
As I say, you
Thank
hate
you.
the terminology. I almost drove off the road, but I was driving at the time. And it glanced down and glanced up, clankety, clankety, clankety. I think I messaged him like an hour after that video posted. I'm like, you nearly scared the crap out of me. Watch this be built. Like, it's a lot of work went into this for the third time. And
Steven, what aspects of modeling do you enjoy the most?
Now I'm getting in. I still love engines. I'm a mechanic by trade.
Okay.
And I love cars. I love engines. So I kind of sticking to the engine, and I'm kind of broadening. I've never been a body guy. So getting that glossy, like smooth, perfect finish, I'm getting better at it. It's not my strong suit, but thank goodness it's something this big and not a whole car. But I'm still working on, like, I take an engine that's, well, I can do that with, versus when I work on a real vehicle and you can have like plug wires, you can actually get like gravity effects on a real car. Well, it's hard when you got something this size to try to get everything to go where you want it so it looks real.
Yeah, the big balloon.
Yeah, the Cobra did that, and I lost a couple pieces for it, and I'm like, you know what? It's done. We're just going to move on. It's not going to see a show.
What parts of it do you think you struggle with the most?
Decals.
Okay.
Freaking decals. Which I'm working
Gentleman
on
right here.
Yeah.
James has got some good decal videos. I learned a lot by watching his videos, actually.
Yeah,
I think I need to update that video a little bit.
I'm getting better. I'm learning. But the one that gets me is when they're like super, super small. I'm trying to get them off, and then they wrap into a bristle of the brush, or they just disappear. And like I see other people, they use tweezers and they just pick them up and lay them where they want. I'm like, how do you do that? I try to pick it up on the tweezer and wrap stuff around the tweezer, but
My best tip for you is to put your decals in the water upside down, and that way they don't curl.
upside down.
You put them on upside down, put them in for about 5 seconds, take it out and lay it face up on your desk. And the water that the decal has absorbed will keep it wet, and it will slide off the paper.
I will try that. Because usually I put them in I use warm water, and I put them in there just face up, and I leave them in there for, I don't know, 20 till I can reach in there and they start moving.
Oh,
and then I'll take them out. No.
Too long. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Try it that way instead.
Okay.
Face down until all the paper is wet. You can take it right out of the water, then lay it flat on your mat.
Okay.
In a puddle of water. The puddle they just stay wet.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try that definitely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So what is the one thing about building? For me, it's all the body work that you can't stand. Like if you could hire somebody to do this part of the modeling, what would it be?
Except for decals. I'm going to say getting freaking, so you don't get the tripod where all 4 wheels are actually on the freaking ground. Because I can mock it up and everything's perfect. And as soon as I glue it together, it's like, why? Why can't I see light under you? And then you try to move it and then something pops. And
so I'll let you know my secret, because I struggle with this. I almost never actually use the attachment points that are part of the kit.
Okay.
The way I will cut and modify those. However the wheels are supposed to mount, it's usually not how I mount.
Okay.
And I'll do wheels in pairs. I'll glue them in the front and the back. And I actually set the ride height where I want by using coins or Lego bricks or whatever, and find a place on the body where I can just suspend it in space and set the ride height exactly where I want it. And then I will glue usually the front wheels or the back wheels. And then I'll use 5-minute epoxy, and I will put weights or something so I get the wheel square and centered in the wheel well and at the exact height and the exact space from the axle, so it's because I want to set the wheel exactly where it's supposed to be inside the wheel well and at the right height, so I can get the track width, get the alignment right.
So then if the nub's coming off the axle, you'll just cut that off, and then just wherever it goes, you just okay.
And sometimes if you flip it upside down, you'll see there might be some slight little, misalignment going on, but it's because I will fudge it in order to get, because a lot of times there might be some twist or something in either the chassis or the body.
Yeah.
And so in order to compensate for that, I'm kind of setting the wheels exactly where I want them in space, so that it does sit level on the table at least. Even the body might have a twist, but at least it'll sit square on the wheels. And that's how I get it. That's how I do it.
That's not a bad idea.
I've known people to glue the top of the tire into the wheel well to get them that low.
I've done that too, yeah. If it's sitting really low, it's not even attached to the suspension. It's mounted to it.
I think there's one guy I was watching. He actually put I don't know if it was styrene or something, but he actually put it in there so the tire would actually just sit where he wanted it.
Yeah.
He didn't necessarily glue it to that. He glued it to the axle, but he had it to where He could
Yeah.
set it together and it sat where he wanted it.
Huh.
I remember what video I saw. I was like, that's actually pretty genius because thing's never going to drive anyways.
My models don't roll. I fix always glue the wheels so they don't spin or roll or anything like that.
Yeah, they don't roll. They might fly.
Now I don't that technique. If I was building for contests, I probably couldn't get away with that because so you may flip over and see that the wheels are not actually attached to the axle. You notice there might be, or it could be really hack looking the way it. Because I don't really care about that. Most of my stuff's just curbside, and I want it to look right when it's sitting on the shelf.
I mean, if you're doing curbside, you should be fine because technically at a show, like even at the show I was at, they did not want anybody touching models, not even judges.
They won't pick it up.
They told judges, do not pick them up, do not touch them. So they shouldn't pick them up.
Yeah.
Not saying a kid won't run by and pick one up, but you gotta remember he's a kid and they're just toys.
Well, they are just toys. Very expensive, time-consuming toys.
I just know some people setting them up at the show. It seemed like they were the ones that if a kid even got close to touch them, they would like run over there and like yell at them. I'm like, all right, like I don't want mine getting broken, but if they do, it's a lesson for both of us.
Yeah, don't put
But
your car in the edge.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
the front.
Don't
Don't
sit
put
in
them.
that edge.
Don't put it in hand reach. If you got little kids, you know what that is. Don't put it in reach of the little hands.
Now you said you judged that show, didn't you?
Yeah, they had some of us like team up, and so I actually got to help judge, which was interesting.
Did you
That's kinda
find
where-
that experience helpful? Like,
Yes.
see what they're looking for.
Yes, because there was a lot that I'm like, they're like, oh look this, okay. I'm like, well, I didn't even notice that. And I'm like, I'm looking at my models going, crap, I did the same thing.
Like what sort of things did you notice or see
Um,
they didn't know before?
like the way exhaust, like manifold or like headers, if you can see brush strokes in them from painting them, or like any gaps, like where there's not supposed to be gaps. Looking, I'm like, I never looked that close at them. And I look at them like, and I'm like, okay, yeah. I got all the same problems, which is probably why I didn't win anything. Which is fine because now I know what to improve on.
I remember from my judging days, one of the things I was taught to look for was, and Monogram, I think was particularly bad about always putting the word monogram and the date and copyright somewhere on the chassis.
I think everybody still does. I think even Revell does it.
Yeah, I would never remove those things, and then in the concept, you're like, oh,
You gotta get rid of that, man.
They never said that, but I
So that's a
now I'm gonna start taking them off.
so that's a time and a place thing there. Most
I even
contests don't pick your models up anymore.
Yeah, Revell does it because there's, if it'll focus. Nope. But it says 2021 Revell, China.
For
worry
a while, AMT was printing it on it, in black ink or something.
right.
Yeah.
Well, that's better because at least you can prime over that and
Right.
make it disappear.
But so that's again, it's a time and a place thing. We didn't pick up anything. We saw a lot of radiators, turbo intakes, cold air sides, all that sort of thing with seam lines still on them. That was a big problem. Not saying anything. Hey, I understand that's very easy to overlook, but at the same time, if it's round, it has two seam lines on it on both sides of where that mold met. And if you paint something silver, you're just basically, play with this highlighter all night because I was inventorying that kit. It's basically just taking a highlighter and going, hey, look at this big line that I didn't sand off this thing. And I'm accenting it in, silver Sharpie. So, because I had a guy who was talking about it. It was semi truck, and it was like, oh well, maybe the seam line's supposed to be there. Okay, as the semi truck driver of the room here, no, it's not. I said, in this part right here, and you just took apart a diesel engine, right? It's that rubber expansion between the actual hard line and the intake. Well, that has a seam on it technically because it's just a molded piece of rubber, but it's not going to be so prominent on a 1/25th scale kit that it's going to stand out like that.
Correct.
And the hard line certainly doesn't have a seam on it, or else it would split down that seam the first time that it gets a chance to.
Do you guys, just as a normal course of building, like engine block halves, do you take the time to putty over and fill the seam or of two halves when you're building stuff?
If I could see topside stuff, I will. Bottom side, again, nobody picks anything up anymore, so I don't fix bottom.
I never used to, but again, I went to the show and I saw how clean some of the engines were, and now I probably will. I don't know if I'll fill them in, but at least sand it.
I always did when I did plastic kits.
Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Fancy Pants with
Yeah,
his...
Nah.
3D print.
There's PZY and Alpha models, and I haven't touched any of those. I've literally just styrene.
Good. Don't.
Done.
It's a very expensive addiction to a semi-expensive hobby.
Mr.
Yeah, it's just money.
You have to deal with like sanding out all those print lines from these tiny little parts.
Yeah.
The print texture.
Yeah.
What I wanted to talk about next was Steven decided that, hey, I'm living the good life out here in Indiana. What I want to do is step into a giant steaming pile of crap by doing an online test of everyone's favorite patio furniture paint to prove whether or not one could actually paint a model with this. And this is, again, we talked about this in the pre-shows. How I found Steven's actual YouTube channel was he posted this link in the chat that we're in, and I was like, oh my god, not realizing that it was his video. I'm like, who the hell does that? I did it as a test. So Steven, not further ado, what would spawn one to decide that you were going to take on the giant monster that is Rust-Oleum is perfectly fine for car modeling?
So if you guys are on the Facebooks, certain pages, there is a cult following to Rust-Oleum.
Yes, there is.
Or Krylon, or any of the hardware store paints. And I'm not knocking if it works for you, great, stick with it. But I wanted to take the approach of I'm going to go buy the primer, paint, and clear, all of the same line, follow the time directions on the back, and I have a bunch of extra 66 Nova bodies from using the chassis. And I wanted to see if I could make a really, really good looking paint job. And by following the directions, if that's even showing up, but it looks like, yeah, it did not work. It actually was okay until the clear hit it. And I don't know what is Rust-Oleum clear. And a lot of people have commented and said they were good until the Rust-Oleum clear went on. And then it did this exact same thing. But still, even before the clear, I looked at it and you could tell the paint isn't, I want to say scaled right for a plastic model.
It
looked heavy.
Or too big. Yeah.
It just looked really, really heavy. But then, like, people comment about, like, I was too close. Well, I have a 24-inch spray booth, and I was doing this one, and that day was -4 outside. Well, last time I checked, you're not taking a spray can and a model outside of -4 trying to paint a body. So I did in my spray booth, turned out this result, and oddly enough, I got like a bazillion subscribers from this video. A lot of hate mail, but it led me on to, I have a can of the Krylon 2-in-1, the rust or the primer paint all in one that I'm going to try. And then can I talk about the food one?
Sure.
Because why not at this point?
I'm going to try soy sauce. I'm going to see what happens. If I'm going to make people mad, I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off and just let them. They can yell at me. I don't care. They can yell at me and call me whatever they want.
Wait a minute. You're going to paint with soy sauce?
I'm going to try it. I get these little bodies.
Is that a
That I-
thing?
that I-
You do that? Like I've never.
I don't know,
Sure.
but don't mind the dog hair. But I get these little paintable bodies I found online. I'm gonna try to paint one with soy sauce, see what happens.
This could be a new thing. What other things could you paint with? That's
Wondering if you could use Mr. Hobby leveling thinner if it'd work for ketchup.
It might. It might.
Interesting. You could
Mustard.
eat it afterwards. Edible.
It would kid friendly. They can gnaw on it
Painted
without
his whole
getting
thing
poisoned.
with- I've taken all the identifying information off of
Oh,
this.
Tim.
That's what-
Tim, challenge accepted.
But like this is, I mean, this sort of thing, and this is a legitimate Facebook post. I've taken the identifying information off here because I don't want to personally offend someone. But like, what on earth?
What happened?
Well, I'll tell you what happened. This is acrylic lacquer primer. Fine, okay, fine and dandy. And then we have the high temperature ceramic enamel engine paint there, which fine, okay, great. It would have went on fine over the lacquer primer. That's no problem there. It was when we went over here and we put this Surface of the Sun 1K lacquer clear coat on top of the ceramic enamel engine paint that we wound up with German chocolate brownie as the body color here. It looked good until I put the clear coat on. It probably did. But I mean, the thing that kills me about this picture is like, look at the size of this nozzle. Like this is like the thing you apply like I'll say pledge, and we'll get a whole bunch of people complaining about floor wax, but the actual pledge furniture polish that you use to do wood furniture with, like that's not like a standard. Well, maybe it is a standard duplicate nozzle at this point, but like that's not a standard like spray can nozzle. That's a gigantic fire hose adapter on top of that.
And I think in all honesty, the issue with using those canned paints like that is the lacquer, mainly like the lacquer, the carrier, is when you spray it on, you can't spray it on fine enough to not eat into the model.
Yeah.
Right.
So you get the primer on there, okay, it etched in. You spray your paint, and that's etching into the primer, into the plastic, and then when you put the clear over it, just everything breaks free.
Right.
Because even if you're airbrushing lacquers, you do thin enough coats where each coat you don't feel like you put anything on. And you're 7, 8, 9 really, really thin coats in to finally get your color. Where these things, you do one coat and it's just running off of it. And I think it's just too much. It's too hot for the plastic.
Right.
And the thing was that you know the body in that is a Salvino's Next Gen. So you're talking about a model kit that costs $45, $50, depending on where you sourced it from, that you now have utterly destroyed on the basis that you saved what, $5 over a can of Tamiya spray paint because you got like so much more paint volume out of the Rust-Oleum can and the Duplicolor can than you would otherwise. Like, what's your time worth? Because now you got to either, if you could try to fix that, but that personal thing, that's that body shot. It's not going anywhere. But you got to buy a whole nother model kit. So you spent $80 to build one $40 model kit because you saved $5. Like the financials don't work out on that. Like you said, if you can use it and it worked for you, by all means, you've charmed the dragon.
Yeah.
And I understand. Like I could use it. I have Duplicolor quarter stick cans. I can spray that stuff. It's almost like airbrushing to the point where you have to put it on so fine that you don't put it on in a heavy coat, which is really, really hard to do with a can of spray paint in the first place. But it's possible. It is something you can do. I will not deny that people can achieve results with it. But suggesting it as a beginner solution to anything is just it's like if that was your first model and you've made German chocolate brownies out of it, like would you continue in the hobby? Like that's
Probably not.
that's a really, really expensive mistake to make. And it's not
I
the
mean-
builder's. It's not the builder's mistake. He's just doing what the cult following on Facebook told him to do: use the giant can of 99-cent spray paint from the hardware store.
Unless you have somebody that's a friend that does models that can actually like say, okay, this is what happened, and can walk you off the edge. But
Right.
like a lot of people just don't have the patience. They're gonna do that and be like, okay, I just spent 2 days on this and it's trash.
And you
Yeah.
get online and people will say, I never had a problem with it.
All the time.
God,
All
I
the
hate
time.
that sentence. I never had
Well,
a
and
problem.
like with my Rust-Only video, everybody just said, you just don't know what you're doing.
Right.
Like, nope, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, I airbrush now because I can control it.
Sean, we're going to get you up to speed with that, man.
You got
Sean
it.
can.
It's
Sean's
not
got the
bad.
magic hand. He's got the magic finger with the rattle cans.
I mean, my sprays are formulated. They're made for plastic. It's very forgiving. There's a ton of colors. Even if your local hobby store doesn't carry them, Amazon does. I wouldn't recommend, even for beginners. Just stick with Tamiya stuff. And you can glob paint on there really heavy, and have it running off there, and that stuff will shrink, and when it dries, it'll dry smooth and glossy, and you can wax it. It's like there's not a lot of reason to go to the Krylon route, I don't think.
At this point, I checked Walmart after he did his video because your video was the topic of conversation amongst a bunch of my friends as well. It was Krylon isn't cheap anymore. It's like $10-11 a can now at Walmart. So
$9 at Walmart.
yeah, exactly. So it's almost the same price as a Tamiya can. Tamiya cans might be $12 at this point, or less or more depending on where you're sourcing them from. You got to pay shipping and all that crap. I get the idea of I could go to Walmart, pick up this can of paint, and I didn't have to go to a hobby shop or wait for a week for it to come in via ground or whatever. But it's not even that cheap an option anymore. Yeah, you'll get 10 cars out of that maybe if you don't use it all in one, but it's
What's your chances of nuking a body?
Exactly. And people will be like, "Oh, I remember this distinctly back in the Habakkuk days, prior to Revell going. Well, Revell didn't go bankrupt, but anyway, prior to the bankruptcy and the reconstitution, people would get so mad at Revell because they wouldn't send them a new body because they nuked their body using something that they shouldn't have been. Well, it's not Revell's fault that you screwed up. It's not like there's nothing on that body that said compatible with patio furniture paint. You chose to use that, used it poorly, and they're not going to send you the most expensive part of a at the time $20 model kit because you goofed it up. Sorry.
Well, it's the same way.
Marcos in the comments here. I like this to say budgets don't work if you have to continually remove paint and restart. Yeah, exactly. Again, what is your time worth? How many times if you're going to paint that thing did you eventually you didn't save money at that point? You cost yourself money.
Well, and even if you can strip the body, what's the chances of it when it got that hot from the lacquer that it didn't twist just a little bit?
Yeah, or it didn't scale the eat the surface. So you got to try to sand that back. And because you have it, like the pro scale stuff, you get 2 cars out of that one bottle of paint.
Oh yeah, unless if you dump half it on the floor.
Yeah, well, we'll leave Dan Parent out of this for the moment. But I'd say that's $6. $6 for a bottle of paint. You get 2 bottles. Oh, I got to buy an airbrush. Yeah, okay. There's an investment in this, and this is something I know these guys have heard me say before. Like, this is the one hobby I don't understand why people act like they need to be cheap about. You wouldn't buy a shitty pair of golf clubs and then go golfing. You wouldn't buy a boat with a hole in it and try to go bass fishing with it. But model cars, for some reason, because it's attached to that thing you did as a kid. It's this cheap little goofy thing I do on the side, and it's not expensive, and blah blah blah.
So the funny thing is, like, people complain about the cost of airbrushing. My compressor I use I bought the whole master's kit off Amazon for $150. Compressor, hose, I think 2 airbrushes came with it. And the only reason I upgraded airbrushes is because anybody that tries to spray water-based acrylics through the airbrush, no matter how much you clean, it's a problem child.
Yeah.
and I ruined those 2 airbrushes with running acrylics and lacquers. You run a lacquer thinner through it and maybe pull the needle and wipe it off. You're good to go.
Well, this
But
guy over here, Mr. Top 10 award winner over here, he uses like a $10 airbrush or some nonsense like that. I know it's a it's a master. It's a 40 something dollar.
The G79, the trigger one. But yeah, I thin Tamiya acrylics with Mr. Hobby leveling thinner, and then just wash it out with lacquer
Yeah.
thinner.
Well, leveling thinner works in literally everything.
Unicorn turds.
Frank's Red Hot. Put that shit in everything.
Do we know what that stuff is? Is it just a reducer, or is it?
I think it's MEK.
It's what?
I say
I think it's MEK.
Yeah, it's a lacquer thinner, but it's got a reducer thrown into it to slow the drying time.
Don't huff it.
Yeah, I dropped a bottle on the floor and broke the cap off of it, so I leaked like half a bottle. Like I was more pissed off about the fact that was like $8 worth of thinner all over my floor than I was the fact that it spilled.
When you're doing like an interior tub or something, and you have the tub facing you, and you airbrush, and it goes all the back right back at you.
Yeah.
I was saying because GSI Krios, who does the Mr. Color, Mr. Hobby stuff, they make Mr. Leveling thinner, and then there's just a Mr. Color thinner, which is just lacquer thinner, and then there's Rapid thinner, which is the stuff that actually has no reducer in it at all. You're supposed to use it with flat colors and metallics because it just settles everything on one shot, and it doesn't give you a chance for your metallics to float on the reducer. But like there's something in MLT that is not in obviously the other 2 products.
And then I hate to say it because apparently spoons are evil to talk about, but if you want to try to like the Rust-Oleum in that, try it on a spoon. Like do your primer paint clear on a spoon, because if it messes up, you're out a 2-cent spoon and not a $30 body.
Yeah,
I commented about testing on spoons, and somebody said that that's false and you can't do that, and it's a different plastic, and like gave me a whole earful, and I'm like, okay. I mean, I do it all the time to make sure stuff works, and I haven't had a problem. But
tell that to our friend Mr. John Brolin, who has a coat hanger put into a loop with all of the spoons that he's ever sprayed. It looks like one of those like oldie time Hunchback of Notre Dame, man. Keys. But he knows. But you go to his house and he'll tell you exactly how anything fits over any primer, over any base color. Should I paint that silver over black or over primer? I don't know. Click. Oh, here it is over black. Click. Here it is over primer.
The nice thing that we don't have to go that far is if you look at Barbados Rex.
Ask him about that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Barbados Rex, he does a lot of testing on paints and chromes and like anything, even airbrushes. So it's nice if I have a question, I kind of go in there and like, did he do this already? Mm-hmm. Like, what clear can I use over this? And he does tests, and it's like, okay, that's clear. I need to buy and try.
I wanted to ask Frank, are you spraying Mr. Hobby leveling thinner directly on a paint job straight as a kiss coat? Because I've heard people doing that, and I don't know if that's...
No, so I have 2. I'm not having anything that do that too. But like, I'm not sure that I'd be willing to do that.
Just as a way to get...
I know it works, but yeah.
Right, to get it to flow. Yeah. I'd be interested to know if that's what he's talking about.
Interesting.
In the comments, the last one, he said, I was disappointed with a color match from MCW. My question would be, what color primer did he use? Because I've noticed with paints, to get the match, you got to use the right primer, be it light gray, dark gray. So I'm kind of wondering if he used like a black primer or dark gray primer, depending on what the color was, and if he should have went with a white primer or a light gray.
I've had hit or miss with Model Car World with their lacquer line. I don't mess with their enamel line, but if the lacquer's too old, it'll come out like cotton candy.
Okay.
Which means that the paint and the thinner sort of separated in the bottle. No matter how much you stir it up or shake it, it just cotton candy.
So the answer: white
Okay.
primer for
Primer.
pelham blue, still too dark. Well,
Hmm.
it may be a paint mix then.
Yeah, it might
Yeah.
be. Yeah, might be in the paint mix.
A lot of that paint mixing comes down to, is it the actual code that they mix it to? Did they mix it to eyeballing it to something? Because then you get into a whole mess of what picture of this color paint is the correct actual shade of this color paint. It's not HDR, it's not overblown, it's not off-white balance, stuff like that. Because I sent some stuff to Paul. I still need to chase him down about it. I have a bunch of Toyota race cars, and they're all the same shade of sort of darker than French blue. They're Tom's. It doesn't have a paint code, but it was the thing that Tom's Toyota used. And I have 7 things that all need to be painted that same color. And if you send him the 7 box art pictures of the 7 cars, because they're real pictures, all 7 of them are a different shade of blue, but they're all the same blue. Like it's was it cloudy that day? Was it sunny that day? Was it did this person blow out the picture? Did not blow out the picture? So
Yeah. Marcos brings up a good point. When I received 2 bottles of MCW, I mixed both of them, so I don't like to take any chances of the colors not matching. That's a good point.
Yeah.
yeah.
That
We
way
used to
if
have
one-
a guy in our club that worked at a paint shop, and he would get us an 1/8 of a quart. He would mix,
Yeah.
on the machine, and it was unthinned, so even an 1/8 of a quart, you thin it 4 times to get something you can get out of your airbrush, so you'd have like a lot of paint.
Yeah.
So we would trade them. All right, who's got plum crazy? I got plum crazy.
Taking Sean back to his model shop days of just infinite colors and his one pass spray gun and
Yeah, I mean, I painted everything with the acrylic urethane or urethane acrylic. Yeah. Base coats, automotive base coats. And because we would buy I guess a small quart. And yeah, I loved working with those.
You had plenty.
Oh my God.
Probably a whole shelf of mixed colors, right?
Lifetime supply. Well, and then they intermix so well too. So I mean, if you had, a silver, a blue, and a green, you could make any combination of, any combination of blue to green, aqua, something in there, and
Right.
yeah.
So Steve, what are you working on right now? What are the projects on the bench?
The only one currently is the 32 Ford Roadster that I just finished up the Ghost Flames on.
Nice.
Ooh.
I still need to lightly wet sand the edges of the flames down to clear it. And then
And
it's
what paint did you use for that?
I'm sorry.
What paint did you use for that?
That is Pro Scale Metallic Purple. James, you remember the guy? Is it Terry or Tracy?
Tracy
Yeah.
Fogelson.
Yeah, Tracy Fogelson, a Memorial Purple. And then for the flames, I took the purple, put a little bit in a medicine cup, and put like 2 drops of just jet black in it, just to darken it to do the ghost effect. And then I took a little bit of the paint and put a couple drops of white in it and hit the ends of the flames to give it that
The licks,
kind of a different effect. And then it's getting the Ford Power Stroke 7.3 diesel in it.
Turbo, pull out a tree stump.
Did you use a flame template for your flames, or do you
Yeah, it was
around design?
Tester. Who do you say the name was of the brand?
Lazy Modeler.
Yes, Lazy Modeler. Yeah, I used his templates, which were it was nice because there's no way I could have hand taped that myself and made it match on each side. There's no way.
Are those masks like a vinyl, like a pre-cut vinyl?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I think they do one for like the 50 Ford that's like full length body flames.
Yeah.
Really, really nice.
Yeah, he's got a whole slew of them.
Let's say there's one for the 49 Merc. There's one for that for the. I think that's 32. So there's one for the 29s.
Okay.
Very, very cool stuff.
But other than that, that's until April when the Porsche build starts in our little group. It's just
What do you
the
pay?
32.
You got color pick for it?
Actually, yeah, it says, hold on. All right. I'm doing the Pro scale, which granted needs mixed up, but the
My old eyes. What is that?
Porsche gold and yellow.
metallic.
Ooh, neat.
So that's color I'm going to go with it. Should look good.
Interior?
Do what?
What color interior?
I haven't figured that out yet.
Okay.
I could actually go through the kit and see what the interior looks like. Because as James probably seen in the group thing for Paul's group, I've almost bought every single option of paint and style that Paul has available. I probably have 150 bottles of paint sent behind me.
Wow.
Every interior, like leather option he has, every textured option, every metallic. Because I just his stuff sprays so easy. Not like I have some splash paints and scale finishes. They both spray amazing too. I
And
just
they're
kind of
spray out of the bottle.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. They spray out of the bottle. The primer, I put a few drops of leveling thinner in it because it's just a touch thick because it's a microfiller primer, so you have to sand it after you're done to fill any imperfections. And that's just I've tried in the 0.5 and it's still a little thick, so I just put a few drops of leveling thinner and then it'll spray just fine.
I've only used it once. I used it on that Koenigsegg interior, and I used a small needle and just I spread it right over the bare resin. To be honest with you, I didn't even use a primer. Worked good.
Yeah, I love his paints. Honestly, I use if I don't need to sand it, I think it's Splash Paints. His ready to spray primers, I run those.
Okay.
Because like some stuff like motors and that, because I prime everything.
Do you?
Yeah, I sand everything, prime everything, and I have like I want to say matte clears. I have clears that don't shine, and everything gets cleared as well. That way I don't have to worry about rubbing. Everything's protected.
Have you tried Model Car World's 20% flat?
I have not.
It's a lacquer, and it's like the best matte finish. It's not semi-gloss. It's not flat. It's just matte.
Okay.
And I like it a lot.
I need to try that because some of the chassis I have hard times finding something that actually looks proper.
I like shooting it over carbon fiber so that it's just like a raw carbon fiber. Because not all carbon fiber is polished.
Correct.
So that's what I like using.
I'll try that.
This is easy because all the pink is decals.
Easy, he says.
Easy.
We should have getting it done.
Yeah, I've had it. I was looking around for my spare stuff for this because I have like the PE set for the seatbelts and stuff like that. Yeah. And I found that I bought this set of decals when Studio 27 did them, and there's just the outlines. There's no pink. And then I have a set of Shunko decals for this that have again just the outlines, no pink. And then Frankie over at SK Decals did a set that has the pink, which are what these decals actually are. They're in this kit, and I was like, I have 3 sets of decals, 4 if you count the kit decals for this car. I should just build the stupid thing and be done with it. And Paul came trolling around going, "We're going to do a Porsche group build." Oh, okay.
Yes, I have. Yeah, I was waiting for James to get done there, but I pretty much use. I did buy his. If you've looked on his website, he has a matting agent that you can add to the 2K to give it a different percent if you want matte, satin, or flat.
Okay.
I haven't tried it yet. I have it.
All right.
Because I want to try some flat black hoods on a couple Mopars I want to build.
Yeah, that's much better than just plain paint.
Yeah.
Pink.
My thing, like why I clear everything, is I'm really terrible at putting gloves on before I handle my models. And at least I know with clear I can wipe it off.
Right.
And I'm worried if paint it's going to like try to like soak into it. And not saying the clear won't get messed up, but 2K after it's cured is pretty much indestructible. They just take a little bit of a like quick wax and a microfiber and just wipe it down, and it's ready to go. Because I tell myself I need to buy some cotton gloves when I'm getting ready for a show, and then
You know, it makes your model slippery. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Well, we don't need
I
any
don't
help with that.
build airplanes, so
Yeah. I tried that once. I was like, oh, all the big shots are putting on cotton gloves. I'm going to try that. I tried picking up my body. I'm like, whoa.
never mind.
I need a little grip.
Yeah.
We had several sets of those this weekend for like the chief judges. If you need to move something, I'm like, I'm gonna move it right without these gloves. I'm like, why not? Because I'm gonna drop it. Like, yeah, I won't put any fingerprints on stuff, but and there it goes off onto the floor.
Yeah.
I'm not being the guy that is known as, oh yeah, he's the guy that broke that model. No.
Well, I think there's a big debate about that. I think, I don't know if it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago, like at IPMS Nationals or something, like one of the judges like picked up something, like held it over their head.
Yes. Yeah.
And then there's like this big meltdown about judges, which I'm like, yeah, you probably shouldn't touch people's models because you don't know, like, I think it's Clay Kemp. He'll spend an entire year on a model. Thing looks like a real car. I'm not picking that thing up. I am not going to be the one responsible for that hellfire that's going to come in off of that one.
So how do you judge the chassis and stuff like that when
if you want your chassis judged, you put it on a mirror.
Exactly.
Or one of those elevated bases that, can't think of who sells those, but you've seen them before. It's like a Z shape and the mirror sits in there on a diagonal.
Scale Motorsport did.
Yeah, Scale Motorsports. I have like 5 of those. And when I went to the show, I was like, okay, what do I care of people seeing underneath? And that's the ones I put them on. Everything else I put on the table.
Because it's a thing that one of the local guys here, I dinged his models for it. And he's like, what is wrong with the thing? I said, well, you didn't do this. You didn't do this. You didn't do well, it's on the chassis. I'm like, well, yeah, but you put it on a mirror. When you put it on a mirror, you're saying, judge this stuff that I did underneath of it. Don't put it on a mirror. I can't see it. I'm certainly not picking it up to look. So, which is nice because you can kind of be a little lazy sometimes. I've gotten first place awards for a BMW Z4 that I didn't, James, from building them. They have the exhaust pipes that stick out through the bottom of the chassis. Yeah, mine aren't painted. They're just black like the rest of the chassis is because nobody's ever going to see the bottom of it.
Right.
So in that instance, if somebody's not put their chassis on the mirrored base, are you deducting points for that, or you just give more points to somebody who's
you just don't judge it. It's just not. I'd say I know there was a point in time it won't, and great, GSL was like the last bastion of we're going to pick everything up and look at it, but yeah, most places have given up on that because too many people drop stuff. The thing that he just brought up with that guy, not only did he have a tank in his hands like this, holding it up 7-8 feet off the table, but then hell, we go here. But then he has flashlight of his cell phone out, looking at the bottom of it. So, like, if it slips, what are you grabbing it with? The bottom of the cell phone that you're going to smash into it? Like, there was the guy missed a judge's meeting, and he'd been blah blah blah. There's a whole bleeping story to that. That's nonsense. But like, it was part of the policy. It's like the only reason you pick up a model judging, at least in the IPOS Nationals realm, is to move it from the center of the table to the edge of the table so you can see it better, and then you put it back. You were not supposed to pick it up and inspect the bottom of it. The number of armor guys who paint the bottom of tanks is probably like 15-20% because most of those guys put shit on bases.
All right.
And so why are you going to paint the bottom of a tank if it's in grass or in mud or blown out? People do a lot of the found tanks and the destroyed tanks for World War II and stuff like that. And most people will. I've noticed that the military guys, even at our show, did not attach the base, which lets don't pick the base up either. because the model's going to come rolling right off the back of it. But yeah, we had to sit down and have a whole judges meeting about that at Nationals the next year about how we do not pick up the models and we this that. And it's like it was a complete and total utter ridiculous crap show. That entire Texas judging experience. Now, for me, it wasn't bad. We were doing cars, but for the whole thing was next level. There's a bunch of people that were very prominent within like the podcasting community on the military side of things that would do the countdown I just did for NNL. They would do it every episode. It's this many days till the IPMS Nationals, and those people don't go to the shows anymore. That was a dividing point to a lot of folks, was that judging fiasco. Because there's a lot of the old school guys who were like, well, you know, if you don't want it to be picked up, then you shouldn't bring it to be judged. Well, if the rules say don't pick it up, I shouldn't have to worry about that.
Right.
It was awful. It's like I'd like the IPMS as an organization to be successful, you know, regardless of what you may or may not personally think about it. Like I'd like it to just be successful in general, and that sort of thing. You know, when you turn a whole bunch of people off who I'm never coming to this again, and it's your national convention, it's the one big show you hold a year. That's not helpful. I mean, I know they're off doing. They didn't just quit modeling; they're off doing other stuff. But you know, I think almost every show I've ever been to, something has got knocked off the table by accident. Almost, you know, knock on wood, nothing happened this year, but there's always a katish off in the back, and you're like, oh God, no, what the hell was that? And it was a vendor display. Oh well, sucks for them, but at least it wasn't a belt model.
Half off.
That's right.
You mentioned the NNL. Steven, are you planning to go to NNL East?
Negative.
Have you ever been there?
Nope.
Yep.
I will eventually, but we have a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old. 6-year-old type 1 diabetic.
Okay.
So we monitor everything closely, and she's kind of got food sensitivity issues, so her eating is challenging. So right now we don't do a whole lot where we leave them alone. Hoping that changes, but she's getting better.
Is there a show that you're looking forward to going to next?
Well, the organization that put on the freeze frame used to do one down south of me in the fall, but apparently that one's getting canceled, not doing it anymore. So honestly, it'll be freeze frame next spring, which gives me a year to get some builds around that are quote unquote worthy to go to a show. But then IPMS Nationals is in Fort Wayne, which is like 20 minutes north of me next year. So I'm going to probably pay for IPMS for a year so I can put some in there and just see what that experience is about. Yeah, so Shutterbug, that was the one. He's not having it this year.
Is Indy too far to go? Because there's two
If
shows a year in Indy.
if I can plan out,
there's a show and then there's a regular car.
Yeah, there's what's the one? It's in April.
That's the IPMS one.
The Roscoe
Turner.
Yeah. I actually went and just looked at that one 2 years ago. Me and the wife went down on a date and we stopped by there and checked that one out and then did the old IKEA thing. And but
Swedish for, oh crap, my furniture's falling apart.
Yeah, I think with Shutterbug going away, I think I'm going to try to work next year. We'll have freeze frame, IPMS, and then I'm going to try to maybe find a couple. There's one in Ohio. It's only like 2 hours away that I might try. I don't remember which one that is, but then maybe try an Indy one.
Is that the one that's in Alita?
I think so.
Yeah, that's
like 2 or 2.5 hours away.
Yeah. Let's see. Somebody's asking in the comments when the one in Indy is. I'm on the IPMS website here. It's not too far. It's in April. Let's see. IPMS Roscoe Turner is the 5th of April in Lebanon, Indiana. So, for the person who asked, there you go. It's not next weekend, but the weekend after. 2 weeks.
I'll put Model Rama in my notes so I remember to look that one up later.
Yeah, there you go. I know he mentioned it earlier. I couldn't remember what the dates were.
James hit him up with the question.
I don't know. He's too new to the hobby. or not Tune Into the Hobby, Tune Into Return. Okay, so if you've ever listened to Plastic podcast, they used to. They don't do it anymore, which is why I stole the bit.
Okay.
Used to ask their guys on the way out, and this was always something that was military. Nobody asked car modelers. This was the Opus Magnum build, which was the Lifetime Achievement Award type thing. Now I realize you're just 2 years back into the hobby and clearly have decades ahead of you, kind of thing. But
Yeah,
is there
hopefully.
Is there a project? Yeah, hopefully, yeah, exactly. Is there a project out there that like would be sort of a giant, career? I know it's a weird question to ask somebody who's 2 years back in. What's your career build that you're just there? But is there some sort of kit or series of kits or something like that?
Currently, if I can see it, let me grab the kit. So,
Dun, 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 dun.
I want to take this kit, Lincoln Continental,
Ooh.
and I want to drop it on the ground on like 24s, put like a big block in it. But I want this thing to be flawless. Like, this is my dream car, Lincoln Continental, and I paid way too much for this on eBay because nobody repops Lincoln Continentals.
No, they're annuals, so they don't exist
64?
anymore.
I really wish somebody would remake them so I can buy like 20 of them.
64 or 63?
That's a 64.
Nice.
Unbuilt, mint condition.
Unbuilt. It's not in mint condition. There's some pieces missing, but
Yeah.
the main stuff that I need is in there.
Nice.
So long as all the body parts and stuff like that are in there, the chassis,
All the body parts are in there.
chassis and all that crap, you can get off the 65 that's been reissued a gajillion times.
Yeah. It's got the dash. It has most of that stuff. Like Stringwell probably put something different. Center console will be different. With seats will be different. But
Yeah, it's a good stustarting point. But
yeah,
it sounds like
the
a
stuff
cool
I need is
project.
there. Which, granted, in a few years that might change. But as of right now, nope, not touching that one yet. I don't feel my skills are to the point of
Work your way up.
not screwing that one up.
Is there an all new kit that's or I guess what new kit are you looking forward to that you haven't gotten yet or you're excited about?
Well, the one that I got all giddy about was the Tamiya Porsche GT3 RS. But I have that kit now. I haven't built it yet, but I have it.
Okay.
I don't know that Civic that James got from Alpha Models.
The Mugen?
Yeah, the Mugen.
Mugen. They're fun.
I grew up in the Fast and the Furious era, so the little imports are kind of cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
And they've done the more modern Type R's too, like the 2022, 2021, something like that. They haven't done the remodeled Civic Type R, but they've done the one that was right before that.
Yeah.
Speaking of the new Fast and Furious, I saw that they're filming the last installment of the series, and they are bringing back some of the. They must be filming a scene inspired by the original movie because they're bringing back some of those original cars. The Supra is going to be in it, I think.
I might actually watch that one.
Yeah,
I got to like 7, and I kind of lost interest because it became less about the cars and more about guys with their shirts off beating each other up. So for me, I was like, all right, the cars are cool, but not when it's not the main point. Like the first one was all about the cars. I mean, there's a little bit of a love story in there, but it was about the cars and
it sort of went off the rails.
Mitsubishi Eclipses with 7 gears.
Space, you kind of lost your.
Yeah, when you're shooting a Fiero into space, that's kind of lost, I think.
Well, I want to thank Stephen for coming on tonight. This is great. One more time for everybody who's watching, your YouTube channel and Facebook group is, or not Facebook group, Facebook page is
Crazy Scale Models, both YouTube and Facebook group and page. Yeah, if you join the group, you can post pretty much anything model related. Unless if you're a really attractive lady and all you have is street pictures of revealing images.
Right.
Right.
Not that kind of modeling.
That's an inside joke from people complaining on Facebook about certain people liking their posts. But anyways,
Yeah, I get it.
but yeah, Crazy Scale models pretty much everywhere, even on Instagram, even though I don't ever put anything on there.
All right, man. 983.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, where do I send the check, guys?
Payable to James Tester's Resin Addiction.
Oh, okay.
Thanks for
Stick
joining.
around. Stick around when I can't kill the stream. So anyway, guys, we appreciate you tuning in tonight. We will be back again in another 2 weeks with, I don't know, possibly a special guest. We have to work on scheduling. The following show after that, April 21st, which is going to be the Monday before NNL East, we are going to get the band back together to a certain extent. We're going to pull a bunch of the guys we've had on here before. One of them been on here a couple of times now, and we're going to do a great big NNL East tailgate prior to heading out there. So that's a show that you don't want to miss. I believe, technically speaking, we can cram 10 people in here, sort of like stuff in a phone booth. We'll see how well that all works, and tune in for the chaos, if nothing else. So again, thanks for Stephen for coming on tonight, and we'll see
Thank
you guys on the other side.
See ya.
Thanks, man.